Right now on IUSTV News, vote delayed. Why county leaders put off voting to approve a new site for the county jail, and how soon a decision could be coming.
Plus, the number of e-scooter brands around town might soon be getting smaller. Why the city is putting brakes on its relationship with one of the companies.
And the cleanup continues across the South in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, the heartbreaking damage left behind by the strongest tropical system of the season.
In essence, we have not rushed this process, and every single delay has both a fiscal cost to it and a human cost to it.
Approval for the site of the new Monroe County Jail is once again on hold. Commissioners aren't ready to sign off on the proposed site just yet, but appear closer to making a decision. Thank you for joining us. I'm Oliver Carr.
And I'm Lilly Pierce. You're watching IUSTV News. The debate over the future jail has been an ongoing battle in the county for years. Right now, commissioners have their eyes on the North Park property near State Road 46 and Interstate 69. That's just outside Bloomington city limits. Late word on a different site caused two of the commissioners to vote to wait on the approval. As of now, no date is set on when the property could be approved. Commissioner President Julie Thomas says the decision must be the right one, even if it brings delays.
It's really important. This is the biggest decision we're going to make in this office. And it's the most important one, and I don't want to continue it, but that's where my motion is.
The North Park property is expected to cost nearly $11 million. For the latest on the jail project, to see our past coverage up to this point, visit iustv.com/jail.
Nearly all elected officials in Monroe County meet tomorrow to get an update on the Convention Center expansion project. The Bloomington City Council, Monroe County Commissioners, and Bloomington Mayor Carrie Thompson are expected to give input on where the project stands. The $52 million project would bring an additional 60,000 square feet. The current site is to the east of the current convention center between College Avenue and Walnut Street. The meeting begins at 10:30 Tuesday morning, and the county hopes to break ground in the spring. Rescue efforts are underway in the southern United States, where millions are dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Helene.
In North Carolina, emergency responders rescued more than 200 people from floodwaters. Ivan Rodriguez is in Keaton Beach, Florida, where much of the town was leveled.
Communities in the southeast are grappling with widespread devastation after Helene made landfall as a Category 4 hurricane on Thursday. Asheville, North Carolina is experiencing the worst of it as entire communities have been trapped by floodwaters.
We've lost communications capabilities. It's very difficult for us to move around the community. Many of the roads are closed. Trees are down. We're clearing those as quick as we can. And a lot of the critical infrastructure that we become used to every day in normal times is now gone, and we have to work around it.
Hundreds of roads remain closed in western North Carolina Sunday. Crews are working to reach people who are trapped with limited supplies.
Our biggest need right now is to take care of the people that live in this community. We need water desperately. We have yet to receive any water.
Millions of people remain without power across several states, including Tennessee, where dozens had to be rescued from floodwaters on a rooftop of a hospital.
I've never seen a hurricane disaster in Tennessee that has looked like this, not in the years that I've been here.
In Florida, where Helene made landfall, communities were wiped out from storm surge and strong winds. Countless residents are displaced. Boil water notices are in place in multiple counties.
We've got a couple things to remedy, but then it's mostly going to be the homes and the businesses and fixing that.
In Keaton Beach, Florida, I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Days later, all eyes are still on the tropics as hurricane season nears its peak. 3 named storms churning in the Atlantic, and 2 more could be forming in the coming days.
Yes, that's right, guys. Like you just said, all is well in the mainland at the moment, but we do have 3 hurricanes incoming that are named Isaac, Joyce, and Kirk. And then there are 2 situations, disturbances, if you will, that are going on. One off the coast of South America, and if that hits, there is a 40% chance that it will hit in the next 7 days. And then another one out in the Atlantic, a 30% chance it'll hit within the next 2 days, and 80% within the next week. And if either of those does turn into a hurricane, it will be named Hurricane Leslie. Guys, back to you at the desk. We do have some more weather, but I will get into that later.
Thank you, Carson. If you use rideshare electric scooters and bikes on campus, you now have only one company to rent from. The Board of Public Works ended its contract with Lime. The city says the company failed to change their contract to meet new city standards. Currently, the city now operates under a contract with Bird. VO Ride pulled out of market at the end of last year. The city says e-scooter use has dropped by 40% compared to 2022.
The e-scooter changes comes as IUPD investigates a string of thefts involving electric scooters. A crime notice was sent to students. IU police said on September 15th and 22nd that a bike was stolen from the bike racks at Foster Hall. In both cases, a cable lock was cut. Another e-scooter was stolen from the Woodburn Hall bike rack on September 18th. And then, on September 24th, an e-scooter was stolen outside Memorial Stadium. 2 more thefts were reported at Forest Hall on both September 23rd and 24th. IU police have a list of tips you can use to help keep your bike or scooter safe. Record the make, model, and serial number of your bike. You should also use at least one U-style lock when locking up your bike. Lock both wheels and frame the bike wrap and remove the seat. It's also important to lock your bike on a rack in a well-lit area. Flu shot clinics on campus are back for the month of October. The Student Health Center is offering free flu shots throughout the flu season to encourage Bloomington to stay healthy. The flu shots are free and available for enrolled students, faculty, and staff of IU. These shots are by appointment only and must be scheduled online. We've got a list of dates and times for you posted on this story on IUSTV.com.
We are just 35 days away from Election Day, and early voting in the Hoosier State starts next week.
That means the last state to register to vote in Indiana is next Monday. Monroe County residents can vote either in person, online through the voter portal, or by mail. Mail-in forms are sent to the voter registration office by October 7th, and you can also register in person there or at the BMV. Early voting begins next Tuesday.
Vice presidential nominees Tim Walz and J.D. Vance are set to face off in the first and only VP debate tomorrow night. The 90-minute debate in New York City will air on CBS News. The network says the candidates' microphones will not be muted. That's a change from the presidential debate earlier this month. There will be no opening statements and no studio audience. Both candidates will have 2 minutes to answer each question. 1 minute will be allowed for additional rebuttals. It airs at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
The U.S. Department of Justice is suing Alabama after state leaders removed more than 3,000 names from the eligible list of voters. The DOJ says the voter purge violates the 90-day period before an election, where the state can't systematically remove voters from the list of voters. Alabama's GOP Secretary of State says he removed the names because they were allegedly non-citizens. But he acknowledged some may have become naturalized citizens and may be eligible to vote. More than 700 people removed from the list have since re-registered successfully. The Justice Department says all of the people should be returned to the list so they can vote unimpeded on Election Day. Earth now has a second moon, at least for a while.
Still ahead, why scientists are calling a newly discovered asteroid a mini-moon. Plus, a new set of space wheels. The rocket launch sending a new ride home for 2 astronauts left on an extended stay at the space station.
But first, an Indiana law requiring 25 feet between bystanders and police is on hold. Why a judge now says the law may be unconstitutional. We're back in a few. A federal judge is putting a pause on Indiana's so-called buffer law that addresses police bystanders. The judge ruled the law is unconstitutional for being too vague. The law passed in 2023. It requires bystanders to be at least 25 feet away from on-duty police officers, if asked to do so. Several Indiana media organizations sued the state, claiming the law violates First Amendment rights. The judge agreed, saying the law does not outline what actions would require police to move back bystanders. A
second death row inmate in Indiana could soon learn his execution date. Indiana Attorney General Todd Rocketa is asking the Supreme Court to set a date for Benjamin Ritchie. Ritchie was convicted in 2002 for shooting and killing a Beech Grove police officer. The request comes just weeks after the Supreme Court set December 18th as the execution date for another inmate. It would be the state's first execution since 2009. There are currently 10 inmates awaiting execution in Indiana.
A ride for a return home has made it to the International Space Station. You might remember NASA astronauts Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore have been forced to extend their stay at the station because of problems with the Boeing capsule they flew up on. A SpaceX spacecraft blasted off from Florida on Friday with 2 crew members on board, instead of the usual 4. Williams and Wilmore will occupy those empty seats. The crew is expected to return to Earth in February. A newly discovered asteroid is joining the Earth's orbit. Scientists call it a mini-moon, and it's only about 37 feet wide, so there's no need to panic. Experts say the asteroid is more than 2.5 million miles away and is not in any danger of colliding with Earth. It's expected to orbit us through to the end of November. That's when the asteroid returns to a heliocentric orbit around the Sun.
A massive chemical plant fire in Georgia has forced evacuations and road closures. Check out how big the smoke cloud is. This is at the Biolab plant about 30 miles east of Atlanta. It happened around 5 Sunday morning. Investigators said the fire was sparked from a malfunctioning sprinkler head making contact with a chemical that reacts with water. The fire quickly spread to the roof. Firefighters were initially able to contain the fire, however, it reignited hours later. A stretch of Interstate 20 was blocked in both directions for several hours. DirecTV has agreed to buy rival Dish Network for $1. Under the deal, DirecTV would also assume Dish's billions of dollars of debt. If the companies combine, the new service will have about 20 million subscribers. That matches DirecTV's 2015 peak. Satellite TV companies have struggled to keep customers as more Americans turn to streaming platforms. The feds previously blocked a proposed $19 billion merger in 2002 on competitive grounds. Now to the latest conflict in the Middle East. The U.S. and several allies are pushing for a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah to avoid an all-out war in the region.
Lebanon's health minister has described the situation as a full-fledged war and said there could be as many as 500,000 people displaced in the country. CNN's Ben Wedeman has more from South Lebanon.
This is the best shelter Sidon's town hall has to offer those fleeing the war. A mattress on the floor outside. Thousands have fled here from Israel's bombing campaign. Muhammad walked 12 hours with her 2 children, her feet still blistered, her son running a fever. Our entire neighborhood is gone, she says. There are martyrs, people we knew and loved. The city's schools have been turned into shelters, but that's not enough. Volunteer Reem Afifa says there's no place in any school, and in those schools the resources are very limited. Not enough mattresses, not enough resources. All the while, Israel's airstrikes continue. Not at the same pace as Monday's shock and awe, but steady and extensive. Thursday, Israel struck Beirut once again with a targeted strike intended for one of Hezbollah's commanders. In the southern city of Tyre, a Franciscan monastery has opened its doors. Fatima tells us she and her elderly mother had no choice but to leave their home. We couldn't stay there, she says. All the houses around us were destroyed, the glass, the cars. We came here by a miracle. The monastery's Father Tawfiq received a surprise call from neighboring Syria. They called from Aleppo and said, "We want to help you," he tells me. That surprised me. And I say again, the Lord hasn't abandoned us. These Ethiopian and Sudanese migrant workers and their families also escaped the bombing and are now sleeping rough. No one is asking after us, says Rahil from Ethiopia. We keep quiet and wait. We registered with the UN, but they don't ask about us. Forgotten and abandoned in the midst of a war, far, far from home. Ben Wiedemann, CNN, Tyre, South Lebanon.
Israel launched more strikes over the weekend. Lebanon's health ministry says attacks on Sunday alone killed more than 100 people and wounded more than 350 others. Next on IUSTV News, October is tomorrow and some people are taking the new month to sober up. How it could benefit your body in today's Health Minute.
Plus, when will we get a break from the cloudy and gloomy weather? Carson has a check of the forecast on the other side of the break.
It's a popular trend that's getting ready to start up again. Tomorrow is the start of October, and for some, 31 days of sobriety.
Health experts say taking a break from alcohol, even temporarily, can improve your overall health. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither explains how.
It's fall, and you may be focused on football, pumpkins, and frightening fun. But if you also want to zero in on your health, try Sober October.
Cutting back on alcohol, even if it's for a few weeks, will help someone understand the impact alcohol is playing in their life.
Gastroenterologist Dr. Arvin Morali with Orlando Health says alcohol has a significant impact on microorganisms in a drinker's gut.
There is good bacteria and bad bacteria. Alcohol kills the good bacteria. It upsets this balance, causes issues with digestion, and it can also affect the liver.
Morali says having unbalanced levels leads to inflammation and an unhealthy gut lining, which can lead to other health problems.
Anxiety, depression, fatigue, weakness. So a lot of these symptoms are indirectly influenced by the gut.
He says taking even a short break from alcohol can restore that balance and help improve sleep, energy levels, and reduces risk of certain cancers.
Even low amounts of alcohol increases the risk of cancer.
To have a successful Sober October, Morali says to get support from family and friends. Let them know this is important to you. Turn to an alternative, whether that's a mocktail, water, or a smoothie. And find hobbies or physical activities that can help you stay engaged without the temptation of alcohol. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Hundreds of thousands of Medicare patients across the U.S. could see lower prices for dozens of prescription drugs. Monday, the Biden administration announced Medicare Part B enrollees will pay less for 54 prescription drugs. Many of those drugs that treat cancer, osteoporosis, pneumonia, and other conditions. The cuts are possible through the Inflation Reduction Act. Patients will start seeing the price drops this week.
Turning to weather now, it was a wet and gloomy weekend as we take a live look outside over the campus. Carson, I am absolutely exhausted of this rain. I am really desperate for some good news here.
Well, do I have some good news for you. Let's get into this day planner for Tuesday because you're about to be very pleased. So starting off at 8 a.m., we are partly cloudy, 62 degrees. That's great weather in my opinion. By noon, we are at 74 degrees, mostly sunny. And then by 4 p.m., we're at 76 degrees, also mostly sunny. Now, on Saturday, we do have a little football game at Northwestern in Chicago. And for those game goers, at 8 a.m., you're going to start off with 50-degree weather. That's great for tailgating. At noon, you're going to go to 71 degrees. And then by 4 p.m., you're going to be back down to 70 degrees and sunny all day long. And I think that might be a perfect day, in my opinion. So getting into this 7-day forecast, on Monday, I hate to say it, well, this is today, that's Monday, we had a 30% chance of rain in the evening, high of 77, low of 62. And then on Tuesday, we got some patchy fog and a 20% chance of rain, so I wouldn't bank on having to get your umbrella out or anything like that. And then 79 degrees at the top, and then at the bottom, we are at 48 degrees. And then Wednesday through Sunday, we are looking at low to high 70s weather. The lows are ranging from the 40s to the 60s, but that really just depends on, what the weather decides to do on the day.
Carson, thank you so much. That's just the news I was waiting for. I can't wait to break out some new things in the closet.
Absolutely, neither can I.
Next in sports, your Indiana Hoosiers are officially ranked in the top 25. Austin has the recap in sports. Stay with us.
For the first time in 57 years, Indiana football sits at 5-0 to start the season. I'm Austin Niehoff, and this is a look at sports. Not only are the Hoosiers off to an undefeated start to the year, but also enter Week 6 ranked 23rd in the country. It's the first time since 2021 that Hoosiers broke into the top 25. It was wet and rainy conditions for Saturday's game against the Terrapins, and the Hoosiers had a slippery start. Coming into Week 5, Indiana had 0 turnovers. By the end of the game, the Hoosiers turned the ball over 3 times. IU would knock back in the second half, eventually pulling away for a 42-28 win. Signetti attributing energy from the fans for helping the Hoosiers get over the hump.
There's a lot of corrections to make, but it was a good effort, a gutty effort. You could feel the fans out there. I'm glad that they, keep improving in the attendance area. I thought that was a good turnout, and good's the enemy of great. So let's have a great turnout. Let's sell it out. Let's sell it out next week, or next time we're at home, and figure out how to make it even louder.
The Hoosiers are back on the road, taking on Northwestern at 3:30 on Saturday. And for the latest on all things IU sports, be sure to tune in each week to Hoosier Sports Night. You can catch it Thursdays on IUSTV. That's all for sports. Back to you at the desk.
All right, Austin, thank you.
Let's get one last check on that 7-day forecast.
All right, guys, so starting off today, we had a slight chance of rain in the evening, high of 77, low of 62. On Tuesday, we got a chance of some fog, low chance of rain, high of almost 80, but a low of 48. So make sure you are dressing for the whole day. Maybe pack an extra t-shirt in your bag if you want to wear a sweatshirt in the morning. Wednesday through Sunday, we have got low to high 70s at the top, and at the bottom, we have got anywhere from 48 to 61 degrees. So really just depends on what the weather decides to do, like I said earlier. But overall, pretty good week.
Beautiful mild weather, Hoosiers in the top 25. I don't know what more I could ask for. Carson, thank you. And thank you for watching IUSTV News.
For updates between newscasts, check out IUSTV.com. And we look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow night. Take care.